This is part 2 of a 3-part podcast.
Have you ever wondered whether a particular book was really good or just so-so, and if you could trust the reviews online? When it comes to books related to permaculture, Permies has a large list of reviews for over 100 books. Perhaps you're considering a book for yourself or a friend, or you're just curious about what's out there. Stop by permies.com/book and take a look at the book review grid and read some honest reviews, and hopefully you'll find the next book to add to your collection.
Now, I want to complicate all of this dramatically, and I think, Peter, you'll enjoy this. And it goes like this. Let's suppose it gets to, like, oh no, 100 below. It's 100 below outside. And but I think that what's going to happen when suddenly it's colder than it's ever been before, I think that we're going to lose electricity. I think that grid power will be gone. Now, I don't know if that's going to be true in the Netherlands, but I think that nearly all of the United States, it's going to be that way. And they've got, I don't even want to get into why, but it's been my experience that for, weather comedies come and, it'll be more than what they predicted or something. And the electricity goes out. Sometimes it's political. I've heard some stories about some places where it got really cold, and then there's like debates over how much the electricity should be when the demand gets that high for heat. And setting that aside, I think it's fair to say that if it's going to be 100 below, that people get to experience 100 below in combination with having no grid power. Does that seem reasonable to you, Peter?
Well, most housing in the Netherlands have natural gas heating, and but they require grid power anyway, so they have no heating then.
Yeah.
So not at all. And then they cook on natural gas. That is quite often the case. They could cook, but that's all. And burning, lighting the burners without a cooking pan or something on it could warm the place up a bit, but it's also dangerous because of the carbon monoxide. So
I would say it's even worse than the carbon monoxide.
I think we were screwed.
Yeah. I want to point out that whenever you run a gas burner in your kitchen, there's carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and water coming off of that. But I think the most important thing is that it's consuming the oxygen in the room. And so I would say that now you are competing with that device to have air to breathe. And so all right, setting that aside, But yeah, if you don't have electricity, your natural gas heat doesn't work. If you don't have electricity, your heat pump doesn't work, and your resistance heat doesn't work. And so that 100 below becomes about 100 times scarier. I kind of feel like, but you and I have a J-tube rocket mass heater. I choose to believe that you have the latest Peter Venberg batch box style rocket mass heater that's somehow better than mine.
The latest one is
I don't know,
quite a bit better, yes.
Yeah.
but now, what happens with a rocket mass heater? One of the problems which you won't see is that when you refill the thing, then the heat has to go up inside before it is burning clean again. And it can burn very, very clean, I admit that, of course. But the latest bed socket core, the shorty core, it can be refilled without any problems. I know of one, it's a big one, and in a shop, and they're burning it all day long. And it never gets smoke out of the chimney. Not even almost never, no, never. So I think it's better, but it took me 40 years to come at that point. So it's not. It took me a lot of time. Let's say that.
So what I was kind of doing was I was kind of talking about, like, okay, let's say it's going to be 100 below. Like, what do you do when it gets to be 100 below outside in order to heat your home? And most people heat their homes with natural gas or with a form of electric heat. And there's a lot of people advocating that homes should move to pure electric. I do think it is wise for people to get away from natural gas for a variety of reasons. But a lot of people have it right now, and that's their form of heat. And I kind of feel like, okay, if we hit 100 below, I think that you should expect that your power is going to go out. And then your natural gas heat isn't going to work, and your electric heat isn't going to work. And then if people are heating their homes with propane, I don't think those are going to work either, for the same reason the natural gas isn't going to work. It requires electricity for the propane heater to function. And so I think that most pellet stoves will stop functioning because they require electricity in order to, because a lot of pellet stoves have like a little fan and then the auger is electric. But some, like the Liberator style or the Gamera style, they've got pellet stove things that are completely gravity fed. They'll continue to function even when the power is out.
That's a small percentages.
Oh, yeah.
It's 1% or something. The 99% needs electricity. That's it.
Yeah. So most pellet stoves will stop functioning entirely when the power goes out. And so now I would say that there are a few wood stoves that depend on electricity to function, but there's not very many. Most wood stoves will continue to function when the power is out. Of course, rocket mass heaters will all function correctly. Masonry heaters. Now, rocket mass heaters are classified as a type of masonry heater, but old school masonry heaters will continue to function when the power is out. And they'll do fine. They'll do great. The problem is if it's 100 below and somebody's got a wood stove, my impression is that a lot of people with a wood stove, they're like, a lot of them, when it's not all that cold, they're feeding their wood stove almost 24 hours a day.
No.
That's been my impression. Like, they're getting up several times a night to add wood to the stove to stay, like, to not stay warm.
That's what Thomas did. He got up once or twice in every night to refill the wood stove. And he did that for 40 years. And now he has a mass heater and
he can sleep.
40 years of sleep deprivation.
Oh, that just sounds miserable. And yet, I know that I've got about 10 years racked up of running a conventional wood stove to heat my home through the winter. And, but what I would do would be like, I'm just going to wake up in the morning and it's going to be cold. And it's like, so I just try to get to be very warm before I go to bed. I do not try to do an all night burn. I just cork everything down. I get the air intakes turned down to 0 when I go to bed. And yeah, in the morning it's cold, but you know, I don't know. It's like, that's just how it is. And now the rocket mass heater, it's delicious.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like if I'm going to bed and it's 72, it'll probably be 69 when I wake up. And so, you know, I go to bed and it's comfortable and I wake up and it's comfortable and, there's no fire. But, okay, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say at 100 below, if we're preparing for it, if we're thinking about it, like what are people going to do? And I kind of feel like, okay, let's suppose that you drain all of the water out of your house. So you're just going to, you know, the 100 below is coming. So you decide to do that. And part of it could be because you're thinking to yourself, the electricity is going to go out and all I've got is this natural gas heater. And so I need to drain the water out of the house so I don't bust all my pipes. And it's like, okay, and then as you pointed out, you still have a burner. And here's one thing, here's a big strategy that I think is really important. And that is hot water bottles. So if it's 100 below outside and you effectively don't have any heat inside, then I would have to say that I'm going to want, I mean, I actually own 2 hot water bottles.
Ooh, luxury.
Yes, but it's rare that I need it, but I gotta say, you know, when you just feel that a bunch of cold or whatever, and whatever's going on, and you want to be warmer than everybody else, a hot water bottle is the magic stuff. Of course, another path you could do would be to warm up a big rock or something and cuddle the rock like you would a hot water bottle. That'll do almost as good as a hot water bottle. What I'm trying to say is that for those people that don't have rocket mass, I mean, if you've got a rocket mass heater like you and I do, you're golden. If it gets, in fact, I want to go on record saying, and you have a rocket mass heater which is probably better than mine in this scenario. But I want to say that right now, when it gets to be really cold, I think when we have those days that are 20 below or 25 below, I would say that we run our rocket mass heater for 5 hours a day. Not 24 hours a day, but 5 hours a day. And so I think that if we were to get to 100 below, I might be running my rocket mass heater for something more like 10 or even 12 hours a day. And that's probably all I'll need, but that's a lot of guessy guess. But I've got room to spare, and if the power's out, I'm going to be fine. Now, a batch box rocket mass heater will burn 4.5 times more wood than a J tube. And I believe it's 4.6, but of course it depends on the size. Go ahead, correct me, Peter. I see you shaking your head like, what a fool!
When you say it like that, it sounds like for every heat unit you burn a J tube, as opposed to a batch box. The batch box burn 4 times as much wood for the same amount of heat. That's not true. when you have a heater that's above 90% efficiency, and you have two heaters of the same liege, then there is no difference between them in the as burning the amount of fuel. But the batch box is more powerful than a J-tube for the same chimney and same system size. And it might be that it burns more. Of course it does, because it's more powerful. But it's still the same efficiency. Because for every pound of wood, you get the same heat. Sounds that reasonable?
Oh, I have like an hour of things to say in response to what you just said. There is so much that is true, and there's so much I want to challenge you on. And in fact, I wish to do this while you and I are here, because I'm excited to hear what you'd have to say to the things I have to say. But at the same time, I kind of feel like, let's first wrap up this 100 below scenario.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the thing is that whereas I'm going to be burning for 12 hours a day, I think that you're going to be just as comfortable on this 100 below scenario as me while burning maybe 2.5 hours a day. The key is that it's like when it's 100 below outside, you will yell out the window, "Is that all you got? Because I could go colder. Go ahead, do it." And I wouldn't yell it out the window quite as loudly because it's like,
because it's too cold.
I don't want to be burning a fire in the middle of the night.
No.
But at 100 below, I won't have to. But at 150 below, I might have to.
Yeah. It depends on the severity of the situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just saying that since you have a batch box rocket mass heater, you are better prepared for this extreme cold than I am. Because I'm using, not only am I using a J-tube, but my wood feed is effectively a 6-inch J-tube wood feed. And so I can't even put as much wood in it at once. And so it's kind of like, so I'm restricted and limited, but I don't need much.
No. So, and I think it's different. What I see is how much fuel you have to burn for a given amount of heat. And in the way you do it, in the J-tube, it will take longer, and in the batch box it will take less time, because you can put more in it. But pound for pound, the same efficiency, so the same heat. It's not that I burn more than you do for the same heat. Maybe it's warmer in here in house, but probably I'm older than you. and I like it warm.
So, all right, let's go ahead. I'm excited. I'm so glad you're here, and that you foolishly chosen to visit about heat with me today. And it's like, I love the idea of visiting with you about this. And so to just touch for a moment on what you just said, the true answer is it depends. So part of it is it depends on how efficient your radiator is and your mass is at harvesting heat before the leftover heat goes out the vertical exhaust.
Yeah, that's the efficiency.
if it's too efficient for me, I can't get the system to work.
Yeah.
And then, but at the same time, you probably aren't going to make a system that's too efficient, even though, and I'm going to say a thing, and it sounds like you're going to disagree with it, but I'm going to put it out there. You have the ability to burn 4.5 times more wood than me at one moment.
At a given time, at a given span of time.
Yes. I like that. That works. And it's like, because you got a batch box, you got a bigger box where the wood goes in, than my wood feed in the J2. Now, in order for your system to be as efficient at putting heat into a mass or into the room before it goes out the roof, you're going to need possibly a larger radiator, possibly a larger mass, stuff like that. You'll make your system work so that when there's 4.5 times more BTUs being poured into your system, that you're going to try to get your vertical exhaust temperature to be pretty good. It'll be higher than mine in order to get to the same efficiency. But if you can get your vertical exhaust to be the same as mine, your system is now more efficient than mine.
Well,
however, you'll need to warm your system up ahead of time in order to be able to run a smaller amount of wood later.
Again, what do you say?
Okay. If your vertical exhaust temperature is the same as mine, while you're burning 4.5 times more wood, your system is more efficient than mine. Math, baby, math. Come on, you're the math guy. Keep up.
but what you are saying now is not math, but it's an opinion. But okay, let's say that's what I did. But there's a certain minimum for a heater, a certain chimney temperature minimum.
Yeah. For it to go up.
Otherwise it won't work.
Correct.
The point is, I don't have the numbers in Fahrenheit, but when it's in 20 minutes not above 60 degrees C, the temperature in the chimney, then you will experience a chimney stall, which means that the chimney door will stop altogether and smoke will lose. Smoke will break loose. Okay.
Yeah. I call that a cold plug.
But in the first quarter of an hour, it isn't a cold plug. It runs fine. But at some point, it stops.
Right. That's kind of the Achilles heel of a rocket mass heater, because we've extracted so much heat so efficiently that if you don't spill enough out the vertical exhaust, the system will fail. And we kind of tend to get a little efficiency greedy, and that makes some rocket mass heaters fail. This is. I mean, when people talk about how rocket mass heaters is a bunch of bullshit, they're usually making stuff up and they have no idea what they're talking about, and so it's a bunch of fiction. But now, the idea of the cold plug or of the system failing because we didn't put enough heat out the vertical exhaust, this is the true Achilles heel of the design. And we got to be careful to not get too efficiency greedy, or else the system will just run poorly. It'll be awful. It'll be miserable. Mm-hmm. And so this is the thing as rocket mass heater designers. This is the thing that we're truly working against. And so, but, we want it to be very efficient. And it's like, I love the idea of exploring these efficiencies. And at the same time, it's like, okay, batch box. Let me take 3 big steps back from this conversation we're having at this very moment. And I'm going to state where I think a J-tube is better than a batch box and where I think a batch box is better than a J-tube. And I believe the expression on your face is like, batch box is always better than a J-tube. I think I just read that on your face, but I could be mistaken. No. Okay. So, I think
it depends.
Yes.
It depends. It depends what do you expect of it.
So I'm going to say that for a shop or a wood shop, anything that's like an outdoor shop where there's not people living there through the night, that a batch box is going to be superior. And the reason is that you're going to show up to the space and it's cold and you want to heat it up very, very fast. Mm-hmm. And so I think a batch box will be able to heat it up, and forgive me, I'm going to use this number again. It'll heat the space 4.5 times faster than a J-tube, which is of tremendous value if you're going to go in, heat the space up, be in the space for a few hours, and then leave, and you won't come back for a couple of days.
You're talking about the big one in the shop or the one in the workshop, in the smaller space where you come in?
Okay, you are familiar with the 2 batch box rocket mass heaters I have.
I know that, but the point is, both these heaters consist of barrels, mainly.
No mass.
Some mass in the one in the larger space.
Oh, right. Yep.
But there are 3 barrels there. And the somewhat smaller one in the workshop is also 3 barrels. So you can heat it up quickly. But the heater you can see here behind me, the red one, that won't heat up that fast because it's built as a slow heater.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing to talk about.
This is a pure mass heater, and the ones you have in the, do you call it auditorium still?
So there's the classroom and the wood shop.
Okay, the classroom and the wood shop, they both have fast working heaters.
Yes.
And the one in the classroom was designed like that. I know, was it 2014 or something, 12 years ago? And it was designed like that, and I was taking a gamble at the time because I didn't build such a big one before. And I did a lot of calculations and not sleeping very well and so on. and then we built it, and I got away with it. Let's say that. But it was a lot of experience, and I have been building on the same sort of experiences most of the time. Oh, that's him. Yes, that's the big one.
That's the little one. That's the new one.
Yeah, but it's a 7-incher, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a 7-inch batch box.
Yeah, it's not that small, but okay, it's a space heater for a workshop. And that's it.
Hey, this is T. Blankenship. Have you seen the new video of Wheaton Labs? It is permaculture awesomeness with all new and improved things like more rocket mass heaters, easy bake coffin, Willy Wonka, rocket cooktop 2.0, and the truly passive greenhouse. To see more, go to permies.com/tour. Again, that is permies.com/tour.
So let me go back about 4.5 minutes to what I was saying. And that is that Batchbox, there we go. That's the one you built. And that's also you all those years ago, looking young and svelte. So the thing is that a Batchbox is really good because like inside of the classroom or inside of the wood shop, it's like it's going to be very, very cold and we got to warm it up a lot really fast. Like how warm can we gain 50 degrees, 60 degrees in 45 minutes? And yes, we can with these systems. So you got to make this big leap in temperature very, very fast. And that's where a Batchbox is really terrific. I would say the same goes for a cabin because you're going to arrive at a cabin and it is cold inside and cold outside and everybody wants it to be warm very, very fast. And so once again, a Batchbox really is great. The teepee is an example of something where a Batchbox is really great because it's almost always going to be cold like a cabin. Another one is the sauna. Doing a sauna is really good because the temperature inside is going to start off really, really cold. You're going to heat it up fast and get up. Okay, now let's talk about where a J-tube is in my opinion, much better than a Batchbox. And I'm going to say pretty much inside of a home. Generally in a home, the thing that you get with a J-tube is that you're already at 68 degrees Fahrenheit and you're thinking like, I'm just going to warm it up a little bit. And so you make one quick fire. It goes about half an hour, and now it's 73. And it's like, oh, that's good. Done. And most of the time, that's all throughout the winter. That's kind of like all you're doing. Maybe once in a while it got down to 64, and you're going to warm it up to 74 for some reason, and then you're going to run a fire for more than an hour. And it's like, okay. But the other thing is that I'm going to make a statement, and I'm sure you'll disagree with me, but I'm going to say all Batchbox builds are 3 times more complicated than J-tube builds. And I think that one could argue about like, well, there's certain ones that might, if you do a really complicated J-tube build and a really simple Batchbox build, you might get might not be that bad, but in general, I'm going to say anytime you do a Batchbox build, it's going to be 3 times more work, more complexity, more stuff, more this and that than a J-tube build. And now is your moment to tell me how dumb I am at saying that out loud.
Do you want to hear that?
What I want to hear is I don't believe you can say something if you don't believe it's true. And so what I want to hear is I first of all, I'll stand by it. I think that a Batchbox build is pretty universally 3 times more work and complexity than a J-tube build, but
it's more complex. Yes.
Yeah.
It's doing a lot more. Also, it's a more potent burner than a J-tube, and for that kind of power that comes out of it, it's more complex. Of course, let's say a race car is much more complicated than an ordinary family car, what you see as a family car in the United States. Of course. It depends on what you want of it. And also what you said just now was doing away with the fact that a batch box doesn't need to have a full load.
That's true.
Just
However,
a half load or less, even, it will burn as clean, and that's it. I experienced quarter loads and measured that, and it was very good, very well. I was actually, the first time I experienced that, I was surprised, actually, that it could do that. But the idea is, when you don't need fast heat, because it's in a home, like the one behind me, which is 24 hours ago that it was run, and it needs to be run in an hour or something, but not it could be 2 hours also. But
that has no radiator. That's pure mass, no radiator, right?
No fast radiator. No, it's pure mass.
Right.
It's no steel on the outside. All masonry.
Right.
And so it can store a lot of heat. And it's about around freezing point now here, and we still have only one fire a day. Just one fire a day. It depends on when I see the weather forecast and they say, well, there will be a lot of sunshine today. Okay? So the load need to be a bit smaller. That's all. And the doors are open now to the rest of the house because we had a lot of sunshine. So the rest of the house is warming up as we speak. It's 7:15 now here in the evening. And but the idea is, in a house, I'm opposed to having a fast heater in a house where it's being lived every day. So a pure mass heater is different, and a pure mass heater means you have to feed it regularly, every day 2 times, and with 100 Fahrenheit below, minus 100. Okay, minus 100 Fahrenheit. Then it means we have to probably fire 3 times a day. But that's it. And we have a bigger space, so like the latest one in a sculptures shop, a big shop. They fire it all day long, just because they need that much power. It's a big heater. It's a big heater.
Right.
5 metric tons. It's really heavy. Built on purpose like that, and they are very satisfied with it, because it will never get cold there. Not anymore.
I want to. So I'm basically expressing that, and I kind of feel like you agreed with me. Is the whole thing where a J-tube is a simpler build.
Yep.
Also, I believe that the mass is going to be probably not as substantial, but you know, it could vary depending on tastes and stuff like that. But the place where I would love to talk to you about is, and I think I shared this with you once, and I believe you had positive things to say, but let's put this into this. We're recording this right now. So what I want to do is to say in the last several years, I've been more focusing on efficiency of a rocket mass heater when it is not burning. And so I want to cork the system. Mm-hmm. However, when corking the system, I think that the people who design rocket mass heaters, their earliest designs when trying to get the efficiency from when the system's not running depends entirely on human discipline, which then becomes the failure point of the system. As you learn that humans are not as disciplined as you might wish for them to be. Mm-hmm. And so I've been kind of exploring the idea, because we have a high Gilligan factor here. And I know that's probably, I know it's a phrase you understand thoroughly, but maybe not everybody knows it that's watching this now, but I think you could probably guess. But it's like, I want to design systems that are going to be Gilligan resistant. They're going to function without human discipline. They're going to function correctly and efficiently without human discipline. And so, for example, in the library, we have a rocket mass heater in there that was our experimenter's rocket mass heater for years. And it had guillotines and plugs and bypasses and all kinds of stuff. And we took a lot of that out.
Too complicated.
And, I mean, it was there because we thought people will just have to have the discipline to use these tools correctly to get the system to be more efficient. And what we learned was people are not as disciplined as we would like. So we've shifted. But a lot of the things that we're doing now are all about how to get a system to be more efficient when it's not being used. So, for example, you've had a fire, the mass is warmed up, and now you need to cork it. Now, one of the things is that for each of the batch box systems that I've seen, they have an air intake port that is a very exact size. Mm-hmm. And then it's like when I bring this up every single time, people that love Batchbox always say the exact same thing, and then I always say the exact same thing. And it goes like this. It's open. This hole is open when the system's not being used. And so as much as we've got some channels for the air to move through that slow air movement when the system is not hot, there's still air moving through.
Yep.
Mostly because the system is warm and the outside is cold and there's a vertical exhaust which is pulling air through the system. And so then people who love Batchbox will say, well, you can just plug the hole. And then my response is, because of the law of Gilligan's, they won't unplug the hole when they start the next fire. And then when things go bad, they'll blame the design of the system, not the fact that they forgot to unplug the hole that they plugged.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing with the J-tube is that if you plug the hole, usually with 2 bricks over the J-tube opening, then kind of hard to start the fire with those bricks there. So you always remember to push them aside to get the fire started.
So, well, let's say I make a distinction between first generation back boxes. The one in the auditorium is one of those, and probably the one in the workshop. Yeah, that's a first generation also. But the latest generation that I've worked a couple of years on has a valve for the air intake, and it is constructed in such a way that it's open or closed, nothing in between. You can't damp it down. And the reason to use that is that the core itself has a maximum burn rate. It can't, with a firm can't, any faster burning than a certain level. Which means the air intake is even too large. But does it matter? And it's fed in a certain way. The core is easier to make, it's less complicated, but the door is more complicated then. There's something in the racing car that need to be complicated, otherwise it won't race. Something like that. But a J-tube is simpler. I'll give you that. Of course it is. So there is, depends on what you want. Do you want a simple heater which you can burn probably for a couple of hours a day? Or do you want a pure mass heater that you can fill and walk away from and come back in an hour and close the door? Or the air intake? It depends on what you want.
I like the idea of coming up with some way to close the air intake, but you can't, you will be unable to start the next fire until you have somehow opened the air intake, as opposed to the Gilligan factor.
There's a way to do it. There is a way to do it.
There is a way to do it.
Yeah, there is a way to do it, but it requires electricity. It's a shame. You can make it automatically.
I love the analogy with the race car, and I kind of feel like, yes, that makes great sense. You know, to have a race car versus what I'm suggesting. Let's, instead of a race car, let's build a 1972 Volkswagen Beetle. And it's like... it
was rather complicated, by the way, but okay, for the time it was complicated. But
I think for a 2026 race car, it's going to be a lot more complicated than a 1972 Volkswagen Beetle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I kind of feel like, but at the same time, I also believe that for every 2026 race car that's built, I think that there might be, I don't know, 1 million Volkswagen Beetles. And so it's like, so I'm thinking they're people's heater. They're people's heater.
It's not, when you can say, more complicated, and we take two cars very wide apart, and then we say we do another analogy, and then it's much wider apart again. That's not the way to do exaggeration, I think.
Okay. I think another thing I want to talk about since it's you and I, and I if we have time, I want to go into appreciation for two of the projects that you left here, because I've got something to say about them. But for the moment, I want to talk about something, the Cyclone. I don't know if you remember the Cyclone, but that was a pure mass rocket mass heater. It had no radiator, and it was inside the red cabin. So
not my project.
Right. No, Donkey built it. In fact, he wasn't supposed to build it. But you had inside the red cabin at the time was your project you called Minnie Mouse. And he took Minnie Mouse out, even though he wasn't supposed to, and started building this other thing that he ended up calling the Cyclone. And the Cyclone was very beautiful. But we ended up tearing it out. But the primary there were many reasons we had to take it out. It was failing in ways, and it was frustrating and annoying, and but one of the things, and it's something that you mentioned a moment ago, though, there we've got, you can see Donkey there talking about his creation at an early state. But one of the things that you mentioned a moment ago is, like, if you've got a pure mass rocket mass heater and it has no radiator, I want to make a statement about that. And I want to say it takes practice to use it well, to use it in a way that you will enjoy it, which is going to be probably different. Like a Gilligan is going to hate it. And the reason why I say that is that when people stayed in the red cabin with the Cyclone, they ended up hating the Cyclone. And part of it is because it's a cabin. And so even though this was a batch box, it was a 4-inch batch box, and you could put a lot of fire in it at once, the fact that it had no radiator made it so that when you're in a cabin scenario, it's like, okay, it's really cold in here. Let's get a fire going and warm it up. And then
you have to do it the day before.
That sounds like human discipline to me.
Yes. But it's a cabin, not constantly occupied.
Yeah.
So you have like the 100 degrees below. You have to anticipate on what is coming on.
Oh, yes. So you say to Gilligan, I need you to go down there and get a fire going. And then the Gilligan will run some logic and be like, why is Paul making me... There's nobody staying in the cabin today. Why? You know what? That guy's a fucking idiot. I'm going to not build a fire because he obviously forgot. What a dope.
We do another statement. The fast radiator, like a barrel, works a lot better than a pure mass heater when it comes to heating up fast. Okay?
Yes.
And the second is for spaces that are not constantly occupied, not 24/7, you have to have a fast radiator. Otherwise, it won't heat up very fast. That's what my
now, of course,
the first batch box I built, a complete one, was in my workshop with a tower of 3 barrels with a 6-inch core in it, and it was built just like that because I wanted a fast heater.
Yep.
That's it.
Now, of course, I'm spelling things out, and you know where I'm going with all of this, so I'm going to just say it so that the other people that are watching this will understand. So the problem that we had with the cyclone is that in the end, people would run like if it's a cold day and someone's going to stay in the cabin tonight, people would run a fire for 3 to 4 hours. Yes, no. You got to let me finish saying it so people can hear, because I know you know where I'm going, but everybody else doesn't know where I'm going. So we would run a fire.
In the middle of the night, they started sweating like pigs because it was too warm. Yes?
You're skipping ahead. You're getting ahead of the story. And so,
it's a mass heater. It's a mass heater.
Finally, after 3 or 4 hours of fire, they're like, finally, it is acceptably warm in here. I'm so sick of screwing around with this damn fire. And I'm going to go to bed. And so the fire's out, and then they go to bed. And then an hour later, it's 100 degrees in here. And then so they open a window so they could go back to sleep because it's so hot. And in the morning, they're freezing their nubs off because somebody left the damn window open. These rocket mass heaters suck.
All the guests in the cabin were Gilligans. Okay?
Yes.
This podcast is continued in part 3.
In a world on the brink of social collapse, one website stands above the rest to fight back the zombie horde of corporate trolls. Permies.com. Take back control of your destiny and protect your loved ones from the toxic git coming at you from all directions. Strap on your overalls and start building that bunker of abundance with the good vibes and friendly, helpful insight found at Permies.com.